Foods that quietly worsen diabetic nerve damage. Numb feet, burning toes. It's not aging, it's not your mattress. And no, it's not just poor circulation. It's nerve death. And not the dramatic kind. It's the kind that moves in quietly, unpacks a suitcase of inflammation, and eats dinner at your table while whispering, "You'll never walk the same again." Meanwhile, you're blaming your glucose levels. But your kitchen is planning a slow-motion assassination. See, diabetic neuropathy rarely knocks on the door. It seeps in through your comfort foods, wearing a heart-healthy badge and a smile. You think you're eating clean. Your nerves think they're under chemical siege. And no, this isn't about candy or soda. That would be too obvious. The real threat? The quiet ones. The foods that sound innocent, look harmless, and taste like they belong in a retirement brochure. These are the gluten-coated double agents, the unsweetened killers, the low-fat liars. They don't spike your blood sugar instantly. That would at least give you a warning. Instead, they clog your microvessels, generate advanced glycation end products, and leave your axons screaming into a void. You don't feel it happening until one day you realize your big toe hasn't felt joy since 2014. So today, we name names, because if your nerves could talk, they wouldn't beg. They'd lawyer up. All right, enough foreplay. Let's open the fridge and meet the suspects. Some wear health halos, some are just beige and evil. Either way, your nerves remember them, even if you pretend not to. Section 1. The edible assassins you call breakfast. 1. Fruit juice. Yes, it's 100% natural, so is radiation. Fruit juice is basically sugar water in a vitamin costume, the nutritional version of a scammer in a lab coat. It skips the fiber, slams your bloodstream with fructose, and triggers endothelial inflammation faster than a tabloid headline at a family reunion. Fructose doesn't raise glucose as fast as table sugar. No, it prefers the scenic route, straight to your liver, where it's converted into fat, uric acid, and a full-blown oxidative stress party. Meanwhile, your microvessels, the tiny lifelines to your nerves, get quietly choked out like a bad plot twist. Your toes don't even complain anymore. They've just emotionally disengaged. Diabetologia, 2021. Fructose disrupts microvascular function and promotes oxidative injury in diabetic patients. And if fruit juice is the charming con artist in your kitchen, white bread is his quiet accomplice, the one who holds the bag, nods politely, and helps bury your nerve endings behind the pantry. If any of these foods live in your fridge, hit the like button. Not to support me, just to admit you're also under attack. It's a support group with buttons. 2. White bread and pasta. White bread has the nutritional value of a voicemail from your ex. Comforting at first, then you remember why you left. It digests faster than your retirement savings in 2008, slamming your blood sugar and kicking off a biochemical rave called glycation. This leads to the creation of AGEs, advanced glycation end products, which sounds like a biotech company but actually behaves more like mold in your nerve fibers. AGEs attach to your tissues, scramble your nerve proteins, and basically laminate your neurons with sugar glue. It's like embalming, just slower and with slightly more butter. But let's say you ditch the carbs and go for protein. Great. Now meet bacon, a food so delicious it makes your arteries panic and your nerves file for early retirement. 3. Processed meats. Bacon, salami, deli ham, or as your peripheral nerves call them, the final countdown. These salty assassins are loaded with nitrates, sodium, and preservatives that constrict your blood vessels tighter than your high school jeans after Thanksgiving. Combine that with diabetes-induced microvascular disease, and your nerves are in the same situation as your lawn after a drought. No water, no hope. Fun fact, high sodium intake is correlated with faster neuropathy progression. Less fun fact, you probably just had a turkey sandwich while watching this. Journal of Diabetes Complications, 2019. High sodium intake accelerates peripheral nerve dysfunction. But maybe you're thinking, I don't eat bacon. I just take my coffee with a splash of sugar-free innocence. That's cute. Let me introduce you to the creamer that came straight out of a science experiment and now lives in your bloodstream, rent-free. Number 4. Sugar-free coffee creamers. Congratulations. You removed sugar from your coffee and replaced it with trans fats, mystery oils, and a tiny existential crisis. Most non-dairy creamers contain partially hydrogenated oils, which means your neurons are bathing in a sticky fat bath that stiffens their cell membranes like expired jello. The result? Reduced signal transmission, poor repair, and cellular confusion that rivals your last attempt at assembling IKEA furniture without the manual. It doesn't just affect blood sugar. It affects brain fog, nerve misfiring, and possibly your ability to remember where you parked. And after all that, you need comfort. Something warm, something golden, something that screams love me and whispers lipid peroxidation. Yes, it's fry time. 5. French fries. The beloved fry. Golden, crispy, and inside your body, a Molotov cocktail. Deep fried in reused industrial oil, French fries are high in oxidized fats and acrylamides, toxic compounds that increase lipid peroxidation, which is fancy doctor speak for your nerves are rusting faster than a bicycle in the rain. Think of it this way. Every time you eat fries, you're trading 10 minutes of satisfaction for 5 years of tingling regret. And no, ketchup won't save you. It's just sweet, red denial. So, the next time your foot feels like it's buzzing, burning, or taking a coffee break from reality, don't just blame your blood sugar. Blame what you had for breakfast, or lunch, or that midnight healthy snack that came in a box labeled low-carb, gluten-free, and vaguely malicious. So that's your fridge. Part-time friend, full-time crime scene. The suspects are greasy, beige, and smiling. And your nerves? They're quietly begging for witness protection. Section 2. How your nerves are quietly being murdered. So what actually happens to your nerves when you eat these foods? It's not like they explode. That would be dramatic. Instead, they fade, fray, and forget who they are. Like the tragic character in a medical soap opera, but with less music and more tingling. 1. Microvascular damage. Your nerves are tiny drama queens. They require constant oxygen, blood, and attention. But when you feed your body fries, creamers, and deli meats, your microvessels, the capillaries that nourish your nerves, shrivel up like your will to exercise. The result? Ischemia, which is a fancy term for your nerves can't breathe and they're starting to take it personally. 2. Oxidative stress. Ever left metal out in the rain? That's your nervous system on a bad diet. Junk fats, excess sugar, and inflammatory foods lead to reactive oxygen species. Molecules that bounce around inside you like drunk toddlers with knives. They tear through nerve cells, damage mitochondrial DNA, and impair axonal signaling. In short, your nerves are being vandalized by biochemistry with zero parental supervision. 3. Glycation and age formation. Glycation is what happens when sugar and protein fall in love and ruin everything. The result? AGs, advanced glycation end products. These are like microscopic Velcro bombs. They stick to your nerve tissue, gum up electrical signals, and basically mummify your axons in caramelized regret. And no, drinking more water won't fix it, unless that water comes with a side of Time Machine. 4. Inflammation, the silent arsonist. Chronic inflammation doesn't shout. It simmers. It's the coworker who doesn't yell at you. They just reply to your email with a smiley face and delete your hard drive. Inflammatory cytokines interfere with nerve repair, prolong recovery, and amplify pain. Think of it as your body's way of saying, I'm not mad, I'm just slowly dismantling your ability to walk. So no, it's not just your glucose, it's the full symphony. Oxidative damage, suffocated blood flow, caramel-coated proteins, and inflammation doing interpretive dance on your nerve endings. Your nerves? They're not broken. They're just tired of being lied to. So at this point, your nerves are dehydrated, underfunded, and probably Googling new hosts. You've fed them oxidized oil, sugar-glued toast, and creamer made in a lab that also manufactures floor polish. But hey, it's not too late. Your nerves aren't dead yet. Just emotionally unavailable. And like any toxic relationship, healing begins when you stop calling your ex. So now, let's talk about food that doesn't gaslight your nervous system. These are the less deadly swaps. They won't fix everything, but at least they won't set your mitochondria on fire before lunch. Section 3. Breaking up with bacon, a survival guide. 1. Swap. White bread, sprouted grain bread. White bread is basically the ghost of a carbohydrate. It's what happens when flour gives up on life and decides to be soft, sad, and nutritionally bankrupt. Sprouted grain bread, though? It has crunch. It has texture. It has purpose. It's made from grains that were starting to grow before we rudely interrupted them, which means more fiber, more nutrients, and slightly fewer regrets. Eating it won't make you immortal, but your nerves might stop writing angry letters to your pancreas. Number 2. Swap fruit juice, whole berries plus chia seeds. Juice is what happens when fruit gets stripped, spun, and thrown into a bottle with all its dignity removed. It's fruit, without the part that helps. Berries, though, they still have morals. And chia seeds, tiny jelly grenades of fiber and omega-3. Eat them together and you've got a breakfast that doesn't send your nerves into witness protection. 3. Swap bacon and deli meats, grilled salmon or sardines. Bacon is delicious. Bacon is crispy. Bacon is the edible equivalent of texting your ex at 2 a.m. Exciting, but ultimately a terrible idea. Grilled salmon, though? It's boring, it's oily, and it loves you enough to reduce inflammation without raising your blood pressure. Sardines? Yes, they smell like regret. But inside those tiny fish corpses is a fountain of B12, omega-3s, and forgiveness. 4. Swap sugar-free creamer, Cinnamon's unsweetened almond milk. Sugar-free creamer, because why settle for just one bad idea when you can combine trans fats, artificial flavors, and childhood trauma in a single sip? Almond milk, on the other hand, is humble. It's the friend who doesn't say much but always shows up with decent fats and no criminal record. Sprinkle in cinnamon, the only spice that helps your insulin work harder without yelling at it, and you've got a beverage that won't steal your memory by age 62. 5. Swap French fries, roasted sweet potatoes, plus olive oil. French fries are like that toxic ex. Hot, addictive, and guaranteed to leave your insides crispy and emotionally unavailable. Roasted sweet potatoes? They're sweet, they're complex, and they won't gaslight your nervous system after dinner. Add olive oil, the only fat in history that could pass a lie detector test, and now you're actually feeding your nerves instead of frying them. These swaps aren't just better choices. They're apologies. Apologies for every drive-thru, every gas station snack, every midnight moment of weakness that ended in crinkly packaging and numb feet. Your nerves won't throw a party. But they might forgive you, eventually. If any of these swaps actually sound edible to you, subscribe. That means your taste buds and your nerves might still be salvageable. So you made the swaps. You bought the sprouted bread. You choked down the sardines. You sprinkled cinnamon like it was fairy dust from the endocrine fairy herself. You feel proud, hopeful, maybe even a little smug. But here's the thing. Diabetes doesn't care about your optimism. And neither do some of the foods still hiding in your healthy drawer. Because just when your nerves start to breathe again, here comes the plot twist. It's time for the part of the video where we crush your illusions, gently, with love and cold, clinical horror. Section 4. Healthy until proven guilty. So you've made the swaps. You threw out the bacon. You roasted sweet potatoes like a wellness influencer in early menopause. You even made chia pudding and pretended it tasted good. And for a moment, things felt safe, until now. Because here comes the plot twist. Some of the healthy stuff you've been proudly chewing is sneakier than a politician on kale cleanse. 1. Keto snacks. Low carb. Diabetic friendly. Translation: now with 9 types of fat and 0 remorse. Most keto snacks are just bacon in a protein suit, loaded with saturated fat, no fiber, and an aftertaste of medical bankruptcy. Your insulin hates them. Your nerves hate them. But hey, at least the packaging is matte black and says, clean fuel. 2. Protein bars. You thought you were being responsible, portable, efficient, like a busy executive on a mission to destroy their pancreas. But surprise, most protein bars have more sugar alcohol than a diabetic's nightmare and the texture of regret compressed into a brick. The label says 20 grams protein. It forgets to mention also includes gut confusion, nerve inflammation, and subtle despair. 3. Green smoothies with fruit carnage. You made a smoothie, it's green, but also banana, mango, dates, a little honey, and a touch of guilt. You just built a blood sugar roller coaster with a spinach hat. Your nerves don't care that it's organic. They care that it's basically intravenous fruit juice. But sure, sip slowly through that eco-friendly straw while your axons quietly scream into the void. The worst part? These foods wear halos. They show up with buzzwords like clean, natural, and crafted by monks. But your nervous system doesn't read labels. It just suffers silently. Like a toddler stuck in a Whole30 household. Look, if you've watched this far, either you're brilliant or you're slowly dying and really into sarcasm. Possibly both. Hit like if your snack shelf just betrayed you. Comment. Which food are you mourning right now, and which swap are you trying next? Subscribe if you want to keep your nerves, your brain, and your ability to walk into your 70s without sounding like bubble wrap. Because next week, we're naming healthy habits that secretly wreck diabetic eyes. Spoiler, yes, it involves smoothies.